We're live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Fabulites. This is Angela with another edition of Notes on the News, where I read to you headlines from my news feed and I share with you my thoughts about those headlines, about the article, about the subject matter at large, if I have any thoughts to share with you or care to share my thoughts. It's not news, it's just my notes on the news. It's a survey of what is going on in the world because we don't always have time to read them articles and do the in-depth research, even though I would really like to. I could study just, I think I could be the one who studies full time, like in ancient cultures where people used to spend 20, 30 years, as students and studying. But I think we're students anyway, so I guess I study anyway. But anyway, I'm Angela, and the channel is Be Fabulous You. Thank you so much for liking, commenting, subscribing, and being here and being fabulous you. We are working on 1,000 charter subscribers, the first 1,000 subscribers for the channel. So go on and join the party if you're not already on the party, in the tribe, in the group, the crew, Fabulite. And if you are, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. And if you're not, it's easy. It's no big hurdle you got to jump over. You don't have to pay a whole bunch of money. You don't have to give an arm or a leg or sell your soul. All you got to do is hit the subscribe button. SUBSCRIBE. Subscribe. It's red. It's someplace around here. Probably down here, right? All right. That's what I got. Let us proceed with notes on the news feed. Inside a Singaporean socialite's 700 square foot closet that's bigger than most people's apartments. Singapore. A woman changed her hairstyle for the first time in 50 years, and now she looks unrecognizable. I wonder. Now, she says she hadn't cut her hair or done anything since 50 years, 1969 or whatever. But yeah, 50 years is like a long time. And she said she felt that she should have a style at 54 or 53, however she was, that was different from her grandbaby's hairstyle. So they dyed it red. They gave her curls and stuff. But I love a makeover. I love to see the transformation. Some of them work better than others. Have you ever had a makeover? I never really had a makeover. I do myself. But when somebody else comes in and they see something and they do something radical, because sometimes when you see the before and afters, it's like, wow, it's really visually quite amazing and stunning. Now, I remember when I was a kid, and me and my girlfriend had gotten a hold of these coupons to get a makeover at this salon in Birmingham or something, like some hoity-toity salon. And so you got a facial massage, and you got your hair washed and styled, and they did makeup. I think that might have been it. And we were just so excited. And we set up a time to go and get our hair and our skin and our facial and all of that. And it was an awful experience for me. Now, this friend of mine is, green hair, light skin, curly hair. But not I have tightly curled hair. Her hair is loosely curled. But, just a whole different. So the people at the salon had some idea of what to do with her, but they didn't have any idea of what to do with me. It was awful. Instead of feeling better, I left feeling worse about myself, not about them, but it was demoralizing in a way. I felt left feeling really ugly. It was awful. It was the worst. Donald Glover gets real about racism and being a Black creator in Hollywood. And Donald Glover is also Childish Gambino. So not only does he do Atlanta, but he does music. And he probably does other stuff that I'm not even familiar with. So he's a creator. He's just creative. He writes, he acts, he sings, he dances. He out here. He out here doing the thing. So I didn't read the article, but I'm hoping that I'll be able to hear his perspective. Although, is he going to say anything that's just shocking or revelatory or life-changing? Hollywood is racist. I'm going to be oh, what? No, that's all. So that's probably why I didn't even. Is a Black Panther ride headed to Disney theme parks? I care. I guess it's their product so they can make money on it. And what we gonna do? AMC Networks to acquire majority control of Robert Johnson's streaming company for $60 million. This is coming off the Griot. And I'm like, who is Robert Johnson? Is this Robert Johnson as in the Johnsons? Like, isn't there like, not Johnson and Johnson, but there was like another black Johnsons that had, I can't remember what kind of products they had. I don't think they were hair products. They might have been baby powder. I don't remember. But is this Johnson? And is this a black person? And what was their streaming company? And yeah, I don't know anything about it. This seems like something you read in Black Enterprise, but it was coming off the Griot. But they probably got it off of Black Enterprise. But what's going on? Do you know? Another like BET was a black thing and then was sold to a white company. So I guess that's what's going on here. Ballers, Joy Bryant set to recur in season 4 of HBO series. I've never seen Ballers. I hear it's interesting, but Joy Bryant looked like she was definitely of African descent, at least the picture that they had with the article. So yay for Joy. Like Family, Brandon Michael Smith to star in NBC comedy pilot. Michael spelled Mychal. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Maybe it's Michelle. Brandon Michelle Smith. But he was brown too. He black, brown, whatever. He looked colored. But, I thought, yay for Brandon Smith for a comedy pilot. Lion kills woman in South African private game reserve. So I'm like, wasn't I just talking to y'all about when my mother was in South Africa and she said that people told her that last week this woman had gotten killed at the safari because they told her, you stay in here where it's safe. And she was white and they were black and she thought she knew best. And so she went out because she wanted to get a selfie with the lions and then she got killed. I'm like, is this that story? They didn't release the name of the preserve. But I'm like, of the reserve, not preserve. But I'm like, wow. But anyway, I guess rest in peace to her and her family and community. And I know the selfie wasn't worth it, so I'm not even going to say that. But I guess when it's time to go, it's time to go. So I guess it was like her time to make her transition, I guess. Hampton U students sick and tired of deplorable living conditions at their school. I was really sad to hear that. It's interesting watching the quad and just kind of like thinking about and processing some of the challenges that these HBCUs have in terms of not being very well endowed. And so, but it's kind of like, and I think, when you own buildings, it's like when you have an older house, maintaining that house is really a job. I mean, you have to maintain anything, but like when it's old and it's big, it's like, it's always something. And like, if it's the roof, it's not like, 500 square feet. It's like 5 million square feet. And it's like everything is like a big deal. And I just wonder, like the Hamptons, like now Hampton is one of the bigger HBCUs. Grambling. I couldn't think of Grambling for nothing yesterday. Hampton is one of the bigger HBCUs, more well established. So I'm just sorry to hear that. I wish that the alum would come together and really take care of that institution. And I wish our community would come together and take care of our institutions because, like if you look at like black folks who are doctors, and I feel like now doctors is good for them because they get, the resources that come with being doctors. But also, our community is underserved medically and some of the medical service, I'm not here for, but I think that, there is on some level some importance to that. And white institutions are not going to, we're not coming from there. We're not thriving in predominantly white institutions for the most part. And so if we don't take care of us, who's going to take care of us? We were just talking a couple weeks ago about Osceola McCarty. Maybe we were talking about her last week, how she saved and saved and saved and saved her money. People thought that she was living a very modest life. I think that she was like in like a domestic type position. She was not making a great income, but she saved a great deal of money and she gave it to the University of Southern Mississippi. And it kind of made me, I guess I'm glad for them, but it's kind of like, wow, what if she had given that money to Piney Woods, which is like a boarding school, or what if she had given that money to Hampton or to one of our institutions, But we got to do that. We have an opportunity. So I'm sorry for the students at Hampton U and for the institution. And Serena Williams' husband put all others to shame by installing 4 giant billboards in California saying she's the, quote, greatest mother of all time. I don't know if she's feeling postpartum depression and he's trying to cheer her up, and they're relatively wealthy people. And so for him to put up 4 billboards, it's like, my husband buying me a card. You know what I mean? Like, oh. But I'm like, wow, what if he had taken that money and done something else with it? I'm always trying to spend other people's money. I don't know why. But, it's kind of like, I guess he wanted the whole world to know that he felt that way. And I think that, it's encouraging. I know there's this whole conversation about interracial relationships. And I don't know if that means anything about how she feels loved and how she feels cared for and how she feels valued, in her own heart and in her own home. But certainly from the outside looking in, you get the impression of someone who is caring and loving and valuing and trying to support his wife. So, I don't have, like, in theory, I don't have an issue with interracial relationships, I guess. I feel like you love who you love, but it's just, like, suspicious to me that, like, overwhelmingly all the Black wealthy men end up loving, women lighter than them and whiter than them. And then also, like, I saw Will Packer on, what was that, Sister Circle. Did it move times? Because I think it came on at noon. Now that Wendy Williams ain't on, it's on. Here, it's noon. But Will Packer. And so while I'm like, wasn't Monique saying something about Will Packer? I was trying to, like, put the pieces together because I don't know that much about, like, mainstream, like, culture stuff. So I was like, oh, so I was Googling and stuff. And then I saw his wife and she was, like, lighter than him. And then I saw someplace where he was like, there was some issue with child support or whatever. And I guess his first wife, now I didn't, like, study too deeply from what I could see. It seemed like he did what a lot of men seem to do, Black men. They go from a browner woman to a lighter woman to a whiter woman. Like, they keep upgrading in their perspective, I guess. And so it's sort of like, I don't have anything in theory against, we just love who we love. But I do see a pattern of, like, well, why all the rich Black men? Like, it's like, and when we talk about it, we know it's not like a coincidence. It's part of the culture. It's part of the hate of Black women. It's part of the hate of Blackness. It's part of a recapturing of wealth for the white community. But, and then I feel like her wealth is going to, I don't know. It's just like a whole, but her husband is wealthy too. But it's just like, but I guess I feel like person to person, human being to human being, I love love. And so I feel like I love the idea of someone feeling deeply loved and supported and cared for and affirmed. And so, yeah. I mean, if it's hard, that's something precious. So, Apple orders M. Night Shyamalan psychological thriller TV series. I just know him from that movie Sixth Sense years ago, and I thought Sixth Sense was good. And then I saw another movie that I can't remember, and I was like, I don't like it, and so I just never became a fan. But I guess his name, I still recognize the name, and he's still out here getting jobs, so I guess that's good for him. Hey, welcome in the chat. Senate officially introduces resolution to restore net neutrality. Okay. This is what happened. The FCC said no net neutrality, so the Senate, Congress, whatever, does have an opportunity to overthrow that, to undo that, to change it. So I guess that process is in the making. That process is in process. A panicked passenger thought he was on the wrong plane and jumped down the emergency slide to get off. I'm on the wrong plane. You want to let me off? Look at my ticket. This is the wrong plane. Let me off. Let me off. I gotta go. And he just opened up the thing and jumped down. And so he just thought he was going to jump down and then run into the airport. And I don't know what's going on in his life that he was just like, so, like, it was so intense that was, he was just, that's very intense. That's like we heard about the guy who was, it happened not too long ago. They ain't deplaned the plane quick enough, and he went through the emergency exit. You think it's the same guy? He might have a pattern of like, regular doors are for y'all. I'm about to go through this emergency exit. I ain't got time. Today I don't have time. Tomorrow I might, or tomorrow I might not. But I don't know. But they say he was panicked, so maybe he was flying someplace because of something, that was going on that had him like emotionally destabilized a little bit, but that seems kind of like an intense situation. Denmark plans double punishment for ghetto crime. I think this was like sort of a SSDD type story, like same stuff, different country, SSDC, where it was kind of like, the crime is worse if the punishment is worse if you're black or brown. This heroic dog was shot 3 times while protecting his 16-year-old owner from armed intruders. And when I read this story, I just want to tell you, I don't want to give anybody any ideas who might be planning to arm intrude over here, but Miss Bella dog, she ain't worth a god doggone. If something is going on, she'd be looking at me like, we going to investigate? I go behind you. But I guess she only weighs 10 pounds. But still, I would prefer it if she was like, But like, why should she sacrifice her life for me? I guess that's how she look at it. And why did my life matter more than her life to her? No. I guess not. But this heroic dog, and I think that the surgery was like 60,000, 10,000 something, and they done crowdfunded the money and the person shot him in the leg and the neck and the I don't know, they shot, but the dog is, he had a little cone on and he was, yeah. Tisha Campbell Martin cast an ABC drama pilot for Robin Roberts and Regina King. So it seemed like they talking about the Martin reboot. She got divorced. She doing this thing. So like, was her marriage and relationship holding her back, or because she not married, she like, I got to get out here and hustle, or a lot of the stuff was probably already in the works before. I don't know. But Warriors will go to National Museum of African American History. So the warriors, as in not just random people out here who like, I'm a warrior, I got a sword, but like an athletic team, the Warriors, right? Okay. So they will go to the National Museum of African American History and Culture instead of the White House. So they go into DC. I guess they won some championship or something. For some part of history, it's been customary for people to go to the White House, but they are not going to the White House. Maybe because they like, I'm not going to the White House, or maybe because Zero was like, you can't come to the White House. I don't know. But they're going to the National Museum of African American History and Culture, which is a product or a project of the Smithsonian Museum, which is not our institution. That's like even our institution here, the Charles H. Wright Museum, H standing for Howard, of African American, the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. I can't even remember our museum's name now that I said this museum. But our museum gets funding, like if you go into the auditorium, which is gorgeous and beautiful and fabulous and wonderful, it's the GM auditorium, as in General Motors. And then some of the events and stuff, who the sponsors are. So is it our institutions? I mean, when we get to money, are we like, I'm going to do whatever I want to do? And people don't be giving you money to dismantle their systems and their stuff, do they? If they do, that would be kind of dumb. Okay. Here are Kim Jong-un and his father's suspected passports, and they don't match their given names. They got government names. Kim Jong-un and his daddy had a name. On the passport, it says something else and says they're from Brazil. And they think that they use these passports to travel around in the 90s or something like that. I don't have a fake passport. When I was in high school, I did have a fake ID. Now, I was in Michigan in high school, and my fake ID was from out of state. And so when people, the people would look at it, and I'm like, well, it just looks weird because it's out of state. That's what I'd be thinking in my head, like, while I looked at them, like, can we get in? And I didn't even drink. I just like went to places to party with the grown people because I just thought I was so grown with the growner people. Like how I didn't go with older people, but China is set to let Xi Jinping rule for life, and it's a death knell for anyone opposing him. So they have 5-year terms. This person is just started their second 5-year term, and there's been an introduction of legislation for him to have, for the term limit, because I think theoretically you can only have 2 terms, and so they like no more term limits. But we think that it's personality, not principle. Like, and just how easy it is, kind of in a way, like you have a rule, you have a law, and then you could just undo the rule or undo the law to fit your convenience. I was saying on somebody's video yesterday, I was watching Esquire, African Esquire. That might be her name. Hey, thank you for the like. I was watching one of her videos, and it's like, yeah, they create the rules of the game. It's their game. It's their game pieces. I'm here with you, sis. Black love, thumbs up. Yay. They create the game. They create the rules. They create the, it's their game. And so they won't lose the game. So if they are losing, they're going to change the rules. They're going to knock the game board on the floor. They're going to take their ball and go home. They're not going to lose their game. Like, they're just, the rules are for you and to keep you down. The rules are not, we get really focused on like, I'm doing what they told me to do. So, you set a rule, hey, we got term limits. And then if you want to change the rule, and I guess you the 1% or whatever, you just change the rule and be like, hey, we don't have term limits. And what you gonna do? What can we do? I don't know. I guess that's where, revolutions come from, when the people are like, we not gonna, no, we say no. Management 360 hires lit and talent manager Melissa Breaux, Breaux, and her picture, she looked brown to me, brown or black, or of African descent or whatever. I don't know who she is. I don't know what Management 360 is. Somehow on my news feed, I have like this entertainment thing that like really gets into like the who's who and what's going on, like like so and so manages Halle Berry now, or that they come with these clients, and but I don't know enough about the industry to really follow all of it. Power creator Courtney Kemp talks industry sexism, going to leave and come back on a different browser. This one is acting funky. See you in a second. All right, bye. See you in a second. I actually saw the number go down. So power creator Courtney Kemp talks industry sexism and the time she was called a bitch when she refused to hug someone. And also in that conversation was the woman who plays the main character in Power, who was the singer. Dang, I can't remember that child's name at the moment. But, she was in a singing group, 3LW. And now, she plays the mama and the wife of the main character in Power. What is that child's name? But anyway, Courtney Kemp said that she was, at an event or something, and someone who was like above her on the hierarchy wanted a hug, and she said, "Oh no, I'm good. I'm good. We don't need to hug." And she said, and he said bitch, and she's like, oh, and it's sort of like, you don't know what to do. You don't know what the right thing is. I mean, she knew what she felt, and she knew she wasn't comfortable hugging him, and she knew she didn't want to hug him. And so that's what she said. But then it's kind of like, you feel like, are you going to be out here? Oh, okay, that's better. Yay. Are you going to be out here like Monique, with no jobs because you didn't hug the person who, and then does it start with a hug? Like, well, I don't want to hug them, but I don't want to lose my job. Okay. And then the next thing you know, in a full out, all kinds of situation and doing all kinds of things that you don't want to do. Just because you're, I don't want to say just because and minimize, losing your job, losing your source of income, losing your opportunity to explore your talent. I don't feel like it's like a trivial thing at all. And I don't blame anybody for any decision that they make. Like, I usually tend to be the person who goes with how I feel. If I don't feel like hugging you, I'm not going to hug you. So I'm just not going to do that. But I mean, I don't blame somebody who behaves differently. Shoot, I'm Cancer. It's like, if I don't feel it, I gotta feel it. You know what I mean? But that's how I am. Somebody else may be like more, cerebral about how they process stuff, and I know. So anyway, yeah, that's sexism and probably racism. you've got to feel it. But see, everybody is, some people go by what they think. Some people go by what sparks their, everybody is different. And I feel like I try to respect that. I'm not that person who's like, well, you slept and I hear people say you slept your way to the top. So, forget you. And I kind of feel like it's kind of a jacked up situation where, either you sleep your way to the top and you have some source of, viable income, or you don't sleep your way to the top and you struggling, trying to get food stamps so that you can feed yourself. I mean, it's kind of like, why you got to make them choices? Other people don't have to make them choices, Now, I guess I'd be on food stamps, but I'm just saying, I'm not personally upset at the person who's like, well, I'm going to do what I got to do. If they, and even if, sometimes you think, hey, well, I can do this, right? I can do this and I'm cool with this. And then, a year later, 6 months later, 5 years later, you don't feel good about it, but you didn't know on the front end and you was trying to do the best you could and make the best decisions you could. I just feel like it's jacked up that you even have to make those decisions. Oregon moves forward with its own net neutrality legislation. So we talked earlier about the Senate introducing some legislation to overturn the FCC's decision. So Oregon is doing something statewide. German court rules Google isn't required to vet websites. So they're not required to be like, oh, this is a... what they're doing is valid, it's truthful, it's necessary, it's kind. It's like all they require us to do is if they give me the money, we take the money. You can put whatever you want on here as long as you paid your money. That's all I care about. That's how I interpret it. Photos, stars shine bright at A Wrinkle in Time premiere. So A Wrinkle in Time premiered. Seems to be much less fanfare. Look, I'm doing the same thing that we talked about that article doing. But yeah, Wrinkle in Time premiered. So some people were very excited about that. Barbara Streisand says she successfully made 2 clones of her pet dog, but they have different personalities. Now, I heard that Brother Gregory, who made his transition, had a theory that Zero was a clone. The one in the red tie was the clone, and the one in the blue, or vice versa. I can't remember which one it is, but that he was a clone. And my mother said to me, she said years ago, like 20, 40, 50, years ago, she used to listen to Dick Gregory and think, hey, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. And then there would be something he said where she was like, that don't make no sense. But then she said she started to wonder if later on, how like sometimes you look back at something and you're like, that did make sense. Like, for example, Prince had an Aquarian vibration, the musician. So he would say stuff and people would be like, Prince is crazy. And then 5 or 10 years later, it would be true. But a lot of times we didn't loop back around to see what Prince said to be like, oh, he was true. He had that Aquarian thing. He was really tuned into technology. He was saying some stuff about music streaming and owning his stuff and, all of this stuff before, and like if you look back to it now, like I read an article about it, it was like he was on the money, but he sounded crazy at the time. So my mother is like, well, maybe Dick Gregory is like that. So stuff like roses are red, violets are blue. I have a clone, and so do I. So do I too. So, maybe, I'm kind of like, just like when somebody says they were abducted by aliens, it sounds kind of crazy, when someone says that. But then I'm also like, well, I don't know. Maybe they were abducted by aliens. How am I supposed to know what this person experienced? I don't know. I mean, so maybe he is a clone. And then she out here cloning her dogs, and she say they have different personalities. Now, I thought I guess they look the same, but they don't, I don't even like the concept. Like, what is a clone? Like, that's deep. Barbara Streisand, clones. Civil rights icon who became the first Black student to integrate New Orleans public schools calls for a ban on assault weapons. Dang, I can't think of the sister's name, but I think she's in that image where you see like the white cop and then the little black girl, like, and it's like in profile. I think that's her, and I can't think of the child's name now. I hate to know the woman's name. Sorry, I can't think of mama's name right now. And I hate to not say people's names. And I don't know why Atlanta Black Star put these headlines on there. What if 300 years ago we had said we could fly 3,000 feet in the air and talk to somebody on the ground in another country? Right. And then it's like a lot of times stuff is going on now and it's like denied. But it, like when black people were saying, that's a throwback to the cloning thing. When black people were saying, you know, the FBI is, you know, like we knew COINTELPRO was going on before we knew what it was called. People knew what was going on, and you would say it, and people would be like, some people, not everybody, like, But it was true, you know? That's like people who are mentally ill. I remember one guy had a breakdown, and I was like right around when it happened, and he was like, the ancestors are telling me this about my wife, and the ancestors are telling me that. And he sounded really, really, you know, it sounded really crazy to me, and I knew his wife, and I knew that he had come that day with his baby girl who was like 2 or 3 years old in a diaper that was soiled. And he was like he's an artist, and he was like bringing bags of clothes into the house because he said he was going to sell the bags. He was going to like paint the clothes and sell them. But the clothes he was bringing in was like his dirty clothes, not like a bunch of fresh t-shirts to paint. And it was kind of like, oh my gosh. But then I'm like, how do I know that the ancestors aren't talking to him? Like what he was saying. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, did the ancestors? I don't know. That's the, yeah. So I don't know. Shoot, maybe 0 is 0, 0, 0.0 and, you know, 0. I don't know. Let me see if I can see her name. Oh, Ruby Bridges. I think that's this woman that's in that painting. So Ruby Bridges calls for a ban on assault rifles, on assault weapons. States union members vow to stick together. And I'm all in favor of people sticking together, especially unions. You know, I don't know what state it is where all of the teachers have gone out and they're on strike. I'm all in favor of that. The union, I don't want to say they're trying to, but there has been a breakdown of, you know, the height of the union movement has been passed. Now there might be a new high coming, and let us pray. Nokia is bringing back the banana phone from the Matrix, and it's a refreshing counterpoint to the modern smartphone. It's yellow, like yellowish, greenish, and it's got a little curve to it, and it's got a, you know, you slide it down, and then you can see the thing, the keypad or whatever. So it's kind of, you know, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why I reported on that. Discovery Chief David Zaslav on why he's doubling down on unscripted. We don't do red carpets or fancy openings. He's like, scripted stuff is too expensive. It's a mystery what's going to sell, what's not going to sell. We going to stick to unscripted, as in reality TV. An ice cream brand with a cult following, and I looked it up, it was called Janice, I think it is. With a cult following, is threatening to stop using FedEx if the shipping company doesn't cut ties with the NRA. We talked about this yesterday. I'm like, I ain't never heard of it. What ice cream? Is it Ben and Jerry? What ice cream company? Now, I'm not vegan, but I don't do a lot of dairy. But I like I guess I have like good memories of good tasting ice cream. And, you know, I eat ice cream every once in a while, but I'm not like a big ice cream eater. But I did look it up. And they have a salon in, not a salon, but a Yum. They have a shop in Chicago, you know, but in other places in the country too. But I'm not familiar with them. Is Janice good? Yeah, Janice, Jenis, not Janice. The truth about the U.S. jury system. So the truth is that even though, I think it was 1968, they said women could serve on juries, and it's been 150 years ago since theoretically black folks could serve on juries. Really what happens is that black folks, for the most part, don't really get selected to serve on juries because the prosecutors and the lawyers can like knock people out, and they just always coincidentally seem to knock out many of the black folks. So that's the truth about the U.S. jury system. This is coming off of Google. I didn't really read the article. I just skimmed it. Russia thinks its new advanced fighter jet in Syria will scare off other countries, but nobody's afraid of it. Hey, Queen Bianca Brooks, how you doing? So we talked about it yesterday, how Israel said that they saw these 2 planes in Syria, and Russia's like, yeah, we got these 2 planes here because I have great timing. I'm catching all your lives. Yes, girl. Yeah. You know, this is like my little window usually. Um, but so Israel saw the planes on the ground, and Russia's like, yeah, we put the planes on the ground because, we want the people to be scared. And now they like, ain't nobody gonna be scared. What's really going on is that Russia has put those planes on the ground because of capitalism or whatever. It's like a sales ploy. They haven't had many takers for this particular product, so they figured if they put it on the ground and people could see it in all its glory, that they'd be like, not people, but nations, because I don't think for the most part people buy fighter planes, do they? But nations, so the nations could be like, ooh, like what nations? Maybe North Korea. That's a fine looking fighter plane. I'm gonna buy me one of them. That's what the article is asserting, that it's a sales ploy. 13 cities that are starting to ban cars. So yeah, just cut down on the pollution, cut down on the mess, cut down on the confusion. You can have cars out in the country, but in the city, use public transportation or walk, use your bike. When I was in Europe, especially like in Amsterdam, that's the city, what's the country? But in Amsterdam, in that city, more than even the country of like Holland, it's got Netherlands and Holland. But you could, the bikes, I mean, these are some bike riding people. And it's like, I just try to, it's like, now, maybe bike riding is like ice skating, and you have to like get the right, because like I like to ice skate. I don't really like the cold, but I like to ice skate. But it's a trick, because if you don't have on enough clothes, you're cold. And if you have on too many, because you're outside, if you have on too many clothes, you're hot because you're moving around. So it's like, it's not fun if you don't have the right mix, for the temperature. And maybe that's like what bike riding is like just riding your bikes everywhere. I lived in New York. When I lived in New York, and my husband's father had given him a car, or given us a car. We kept the car in Connecticut. We didn't keep the car in New York. We couldn't afford to keep a car in New York. And where are we gonna drive it to? Where are we gonna park? Who want to be bothered with that? So maybe it's like that. 13 cities are like, well, because it's, and I love public transportation when it's good quality public transportation and you can read or do whatever you want to do and not have to work. I don't even like to drive. So I'm, I guess that's the root of the thing. I really don't care for driving. New Jersey cop accused of lewdness exposing himself to black boys found not guilty. So the story is that the man was his story. He was in the bathroom, using the bathroom. The boys broke in on him. He turned around. So, he had his member in his hand when he turned around, and the boys are like, oh my God. And they ran out and they told their mama, and their mama is like, oh my God. The little boys are like, he was exposing himself to us. And, but the case came down and said that if he was exposing himself to them for the purpose of, lewdness, sexual gratification, then that would have been one thing. But him exposing himself because he was interrupted and peeing, which is his story, is, I mean, if I'm peeing and somebody surprised me, what am I supposed to, that's so. But I was kind of like, oh my gosh, when I read the headline and when I was looking at the story, I'm like, I'm kind of upset just looking at the headline. I don't know what happened, of course, but just the idea, because I had somebody expose themselves to me. Now, this is when I was a kid, and I was elementary school, because I was walking to the elementary school, and he was going to get his paper or whatever he was doing. He was on his porch, and he opened up his robe, and he was just standing there, and I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And I told my mother, and my mother is like, what? And then the next thing I knew, we were like in court. I don't remember, like all of the details because I was in elementary school. But she, now that I look at it, I'm like, well, was he like just picking up a paper? And if I was picking up a paper on a route where children walk to school, because he was like less than a block away from the school, I might make sure that my robe was closed and that I had on some underwear. Oh, and then the other day, this happened to me over the summer too. Now that I was a kid then, but over the summer, I was walking back from an event, and a guy pulled his car over on the side of the road. And as I was walking by, I kind of looked, I try to be aware of what's going on. Homeboy had his stuff out, and he was masturbating and looking at me. And I didn't look at him again. I kept looking forward, but I was a little bit like stressed out by it. Like, I can't believe he wants me to look. I don't know. I just felt like I actually felt violated. Like, and on the scale of like violations, it's not like, you know, he didn't touch me, he didn't say anything to me, but I was just like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't go out unclothed anyway, right out to his porch. But I was just shocked. I was just, you know, even now as a old person, I was just like, oh, I mean, you know, I wasn't walking down the street shaking, but the idea of it, I was like, wow, what if it had been a girl? I mean, and you know, I was like, well, I'm not going to feed into it. So I'm not even looking back his way. Because I was like, did I just see? And I wanted to be like, motherfucker, but I was just like, I'm not even going to feed into that. Because that's what he wants. You know, I don't know what he wants. He out here masturbating on the street. So he's, you know, I don't know what he wants. So when I first heard the story, I was like, oh my gosh. But when I read the story, I'm like, well, you know, and then I could see how, like, as little kids, like, they went to the room and they're like, he turned around and they're like, oh my God. And they started running. And then they get to the table and their mama's like, what in the world is going on? And they're like, he showed him, you know, because when you know how you can be little and foolish and then your mama see you and you got to like try to make it. So I didn't know what happened. I never know what happened. The Doomsday Vault, built to store every known crop on the planet, is becoming more crucial than ever, and it may get a big upgrade. So I don't know if you heard about this. Now, this article was interesting because it said every crop. I thought they had a sample of every seed. Like a crop to me seems like a corporate crop, but anyway. Now, I heard about this probably about 5 or 10 years ago. So they have all the seeds. You know, in my head, they have all the seeds. And so if anything ever happened, they got all the seeds to help to re-fertilize the planet, get things going again, get plants going and growing. But this winter, within the last 3 or 4 months, we talked about the fact that the Doomsday Vault, this particular place, was having, because of global warming or whatever you want to call it, they were like, we in the coldest place on earth. It ain't never going to unthaw, and these seeds are going to be safe forever. It was leaking. It's unthawing and leaking into the vault. Now, it didn't reach. It was like going down the corridor and it didn't reach where the seeds are stored. But that was like, oh my gosh, when we built this vault and we thought it was like the safest of the safe, we didn't take into account global warming. It was in such a cold place that they didn't have to worry about refrigeration or anything. But now the world is changing. It's different from when they first built it. Even, I mean, it's not very, very old. I think it's like within 100 years old. And the other thing that happened is the Syria war. We've been talking about the Syria war. Some crops were lost. They don't have that specimen in Syria anymore because of the war. But they had a specimen in the seed vault. And so they took a withdrawal from the seed vault of that particular specimen to regrow it in Syria. Now, I don't know. I kind of feel like, well, don't y'all want to wait till the war is over to start regrowing stuff? Because if the seeds were sent there by Monsanto, they're better off dying. Right. Oh my gosh. I think that I read that a lot of them are, non-GMO, but heirloom varieties. But I think they're right. The Monsanto seeds don't even need to be there mixing and mingling with the other seeds because, the Monsanto seeds try to kill out other seeds, literally. Like even their seeds are like invaders and killers and murderers. That's deep. So anyway, now the country that it's in, I can't even remember the country that it's in, but they want to invest a whole bunch of money. Swartbard, that's someplace like in, I don't know, but where the people are blind and where it's like very cold, I guess. I don't know. I can't remember what country it was in, but someplace cold. But they want to invest money to make it, safer for the environment, and they're putting a refrigeration system in. They want to do all of that. Okay. YouTube has resumed playing ads on Logan Paul's videos after it suspended them following him tasering dead rats on camera. Excuse me. I was just thinking about these YouTubers, the big ones where they get a lot of views, not like, the smaller ones. I don't know anything about those small YouTubers, but the big YouTubers, I guess they get so many views that they like, why are we going to take advertise? Like, that's how they make their money. So it's like they can basically do, right. I didn't even want to say his name. I don't even want to say his name. give him any energy or vibration. But the big YouTubers, it's like, it seems like they can almost do anything because follow the money. Because that's where the money is. That's where the eyes are. That's where the views are. So I guess that's what, I think because we're on YouTube and many of us are YouTubers, I just think this whole conversation is interesting. Why legal U.S. cannabis businesses can't use banks. And I had heard this before and I never really researched it much, but, it's coming back up again. There's something where, it's legal to have in certain states or whatever, it's legal to have, these types of businesses now in some places, sort of, kind of, but not exactly. And I'm imagining, I haven't read the article, but banks generally are insured by the federal government, like they're federally regulated, federally insured. They are in the federal domain. And so if the federal government is like, that's an illegal business, you can't be putting your money in here and being like, yeah, we're pot store number 333, whoop, whoop. They be like, no, you can't put that illegal money in here. So it's like, what do they do? It's like I don't know how do they handle their money? And then, they make more money than the average business. So like when I had my business, I might have, $400 or $500 to put in at the end of the day, but they might have like $4 million. I don't know how it works, but anyway, it's not legal for them to use banks. Hey, Rowdy Chica 59, welcome back. Didn't I see you earlier in Miami? I saw you earlier in Miami, girl. This is just for those of you who are interested. This is a public service announcement. All you can stream VR porn will cost you $25 a month. Okay. So all you can stream virtual reality porn for the low cost of $25 a month. Syrian women sexually exploited by aid workers. And it's not a surprise because we've been talking. We started off with this little bitty story of Oxfam in Haiti, and we've seen it just grow and grow and grow, to all these agencies in the black and brown world. And now it's agencies. Hey, it was my pleasure meeting you. In Miami. And now it's like, we're seeing the story because it's not, they've been doing what they're doing. They're exploiters of people that they perceive as weak. So, it's not a surprise that it's happening in Syria or anywhere where they see people as vulnerable. I guess that's what predators do. They predate. What's the word? They're predatory. They do that stuff. So, but anyway, it's interesting to watch that story grow and morph over time and space. Nashville's streetcar boycott, 1905 to 1907. So it was the largest boycott before the one in Birmingham. I'm so ignorant. I'm sorry. I don't know. The 1960, the civil rights boycott down south someplace of the buses. The Montgomery bus boycott. Birmingham. That's Birmingham. Okay, so this was the largest boycott before the Montgomery bus boycott, but this one sounded like it was sort of like the Montgomery bus boycott. The impression that I got is that they were like, okay, y'all, on Tuesday, nobody take the bus, and nobody really took the bus, but this one, it seemed like it kind of grew over time and space. I think that the idea or the government in this community, Nashville, wanted to segregate the cars and have like segregation on the cars. And they had tried it before and it hadn't passed through the legislature. But this time they tried it and it did pass. So when it was supposed to start on July 5th, or whenever it was supposed to start, 100 people were like, well, we boycotting. And so the first day it was like 100 people didn't. And then it was like more people and then more people and then more people. And then there was a black owned company that was started that was like a transportation thing. But it seems like from what I could read from this article that the transportation company was having issues. Like their steam cars weren't quite working well, and then their electric cars weren't working well. So it was like there was an escalation of people boycotting, and then it just went down. And at the same time, this bus company started, and then it went out of business, or this transportation company started and went out of business. Now, and so it just seems like it petered off. Now, in Montgomery, we don't have, do we own any transportation companies? Do we own any transportation companies in the country? I think that it was interesting to see that that model was there of like having an alternative. Like, okay, we're going to boycott and we're going to walk. And if you can afford to buy a car, and we're going to build a business. And not to say, I mean, I feel like we are constantly, I don't know what it's like where you are, but the people I'm around are forever talking about building businesses and we should do this business and I'm doing that business. We the business buildingest people that I know. I mean, I feel like, yeah, and part-time businesses and side hustles, and we've some business building people. So I don't think it's anything, outside of our character, outside of our personality, but somehow I think that, and actually I kind of feel like there's like a systematic destruction of Black businesses. There's a systematic destruction of Black business communities. There's a system, so I don't know, but so I guess what I was going to say is that's what we should be doing. And I'm kind of like, well, we people I know are always trying to start businesses and starting businesses. My daddy, I feel like I'm just people are, but I feel like there's a lot that's that kind of tears at, like, my father's business, for example. Now they have tried to the regulation and like he experiences, and I'm outside of it, but he has experienced it as regulation. Like he's a Black business out here in a Black community, and he feels like he's like, it's like a lot that's going on that's not this, trying to tear his business down and not build his business up. And then I know a friend who was doing some real estate stuff, and he's like like there's a roof tax or some tax on multi-unit dwellings that is like, it became cost prohibitive for him to do what he was trying to do as a person building up. I really believe that what happened with Black Wall Street still affects us on a subconscious level, even today as a group, even for those of us who never experienced it. I believe that 100%. And it didn't just happen to Black Wall Street. I mean, there are Black Wall Streets throughout the country, throughout history, throughout space and time. I feel like I haven't seen the research, but I bet you if you look systematically at Black communities that are thriving, there in Detroit, we had a highway that went through it and that sent Black people. We didn't have Black businesses to go to anymore, and so we went to other businesses. You could see the civil rights movement as a destruction of the Black business community. I mean, and then also we didn't talk about it, but we talked about it on this show, this idea that like when you build something up and it takes energy, and then somebody just burns it down, tells you to leave, takes it from you, harasses you, and then you got to go someplace else and start over. It's sort of like it does have an impact, and it has an impact on how you feel, and you might be able to start over 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Black folks will run out of places again and again and again and again, and some of us will run out of several places again and again and again. And a lot of people they be mad if they see a Black person who's doing well. My insurance salesman in Mississippi, like 2 years ago, I was buying insurance from him. He had his accounts in a whole nother state because he said that he was concerned about people realizing what type of resources that he had and him having issues. So he didn't bank in the city that we lived in. He banked other places, and he was doing good. He was an excellent insurance person, like very sincere, very sweet, great service. I would recommend him if I could, but it was interesting when he told me that. And he had been a cop. He had been a sheriff before he was in insurance. And I took that like, he grew up in that community. Like, I was like, wow, I was surprised when he told me that. I don't even know how we were talking about it. Probably me coming with my Detroit, hey, I'm doing, this is my consignment shop. This is my studio, whatever I was doing. He was probably like, sis, shut up, be quiet. And, because people kept telling me, don't tell people you own that business. People kept giving me this advice that I thought was like really like dumb. I'm like, I don't understand. And maybe it wasn't dumb. Maybe I didn't understand. But yeah, blah, 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 blah. The Kashmir villagers fleeing bullets from 2 nations. So it seemed like the way the story was, they just like, like, I don't want to say common, like, but I mean, just like sheep herders and, just like village type people. They not really But they got bullets coming in from India, and they got bullets coming in from Pakistan. They ain't even in this, but they like in the middle of it, in Kashmir. Ava DuVernay, Billy D. Williams, Jordan Peele, and Insecure among ABFF Honors Award recipients, American Black Filmmakers Foundation. Chancellor Merkel enters Germans only food bank furor. Ooh, furor. I guess that's different from father, but like an uproar. They like, we don't, 97% of our charity is going to foreigners, and so we're gonna change that. You got to show us a passport. You hungry? Well, show me your passport, and then I might give you some food. I don't know who they have providing service. Like, what kind of heart and spirit do you have? Like, I just can't imagine. I mean, I feel like when I've done certain types of work, you have regulations or whatever, but like, I don't know. I mean, I guess you have to have a certain hardness to do certain types of work, but I'm like, you hungry? Okay, let me see your passport. Nope, you ain't a citizen, so you don't get no food. I'm like, how you go home and feel good? That's sad to me. But anyway, there's a whole movement throughout the world. We got it going on here now. We hate, if you wasn't born here for 80 generations. And really, how many generations can the people? That's some bull. Because really, we're the main ones who trying to get everybody else out, at least in this country, are the ones who need to get out. They're the invaders. They the problem. And they trying to project that stuff onto everybody else. I remember realizing that, like, black folks are lazy. That's why we have to beat you. And it's kind of like, I realize that's like a projection, because we're the ones that were working from sun up to sundown to build the country. And we're the lazy ones? Or like, it's like when you start hearing all of that stuff being projected out, they're illegal aliens. It's like, that means you're an illegal alien. When they start getting, it's like, that's who you are. You're projecting your feelings about who you are. Top Australian police officer quits over racist comments. The comments were made on social media. And I was like, wow. Just like in this country, how people be like, I'm out here killing black folks. I'm the cop who's killing. It's projection and deflection. Yep. Everything with them is projection and deflection. It seemed like it. That's they still owe. That's how they roll. I'm out here killing people, and they saying that on the Instagram. Yeah, about to, or whatever. And I'm like, that just seems so dumb to me. But, I don't know. But this person, it was on social media. I think it was on YouTube. But he had an alternate, like, he didn't use his name for his account. Now, I don't know if he used his face for his account. Because, some videos you watch, you never see the person behind them. So you don't know who they are. So I don't know how they got him. But he tried to hide it. And he said it doesn't represent the views of the department. It's just his personal views. I personally hate black people. Or brown people. But when I go to work, I do my job. I guess that was his position. But he ended up quitting. So it's interesting to see the stories in other countries. King Jong-un's murdered half-brother was scared for his life for months before being assassinated. Remember, he was the one where the two women said, we thought we were on a reality show. We were just spraying something in his face. And it was a chemical and it killed him. Somebody just paid us $100 to spray this in his face as a joke. And they're like, you under arrest. You just killed somebody. So the person who got killed, he had been telling people they trying to kill me for months. And one story I read a while ago was like, they don't really play that, dictators, kings, they be just like if you saw Black Panther when Killmonger became king, Nakia was like, Queen Mother, sister, come along. Because especially Sister Girl, but even Queen Mother might have been a challenge to Killmonger. So she like, we got to get him out of here because, he might feel threatened and kill them, or they might, want to. They might be a threat, so I guess that King Jong, bad. I don't know. Very, very bad connection. I'm still here, but I don't know what's going on. Hear me not because I don't know if you can hear me or not. Just I'm still here. Hold on one second. It says very bad connection. Okay, I'm back. Papua New Guinea earthquake, at least 14 killed amid landslides. So, peace for those people who made their transition and for their families and their communities. I kind of feel like it was an isolated area, so I was surprised that so many people had made their transition. But then I feel like there was some business or something there, but I can't remember. AFI replicates Amazon Go's checkout free shopping in any store. So it's some app where I guess, you can shop for free in the store. Or not shop for free, but, just freely. Like you could just leave. You don't have to go through the checkout line. You can be like, and they rung up your stuff if you trust them. Disney donates $1 million to $1 million to STEM education following Black Panther success, and they said they did it as a thank you to the Black community. Remember, there was the petition going around for them to donate 25 million, so they donated 1 million. I have the same problem. Those cheapskates next door need to update their Wi-Fi, so I stopped buffering so much. But we got the Wi-Fi in the house. I need to have my little cousin come and help me. Because he's the one that even told us that we had Wi-Fi. He like, you got Wi-Fi? I'm like, I don't have Wi-Fi. He like, you got cable, right? I'm like, yeah. He like, you just have to flip the switch. I'm like, what? And I've been paying. And I'm like, but I don't know how to do it. So he came and he did it. But since here recently, I've been having issues and I don't understand why. Because I flipped the switch and I just want the technology to then do. I'm tired. I don't know what's going on. Okay. So they donated $1 million. I think it was like to the Boys and Girls Club. So I don't know. Are the people happy who did the petition? Does it count as reparations? Yappa yappa? I don't know. Is this a good thing? Is this something is better than nothing? How we feel? Twitter users catching feelings after seeing Spike Lee and Ryan Coogler bond. After gang uproar, Sudanese Australians set to tackle crime and bias. So the people who have immigrated to Australia who are blacker and browner, like from the Sudan, are younger. Younger people tend to be more criminally minded than us older folks. We ain't out here committing crimes for the most part, except for, remember that black woman jewelry thief who they're doing a movie about, who they say she was a jewelry thief. Was she? I don't know. But anyway, for the most part, crime is like a thing that younger people do. Immigrants tend to be younger, so the demographics, are they criminals, or is there more criminality in this group because they're younger, or is there more criminality in the group because, they black people and all black people are criminals. So a lot of people are like, it's because they're black people and all black people are criminals, of course. And then the people who have been there in the community for a while, like this is a Sudanese Australian, but someone from another African country who's been in Australia is like, you have to look at, not only the fact that they're younger, but the context within, like if people are coming as immigrants from, if they're escaping their country because they were made in the child soldiers, if they're escaping their country, like people are coming here in distress, they're distressed, so there's like a whole suite of issues going on with them in addition to just being young and dumb that can cause some issues. And you can be biased too. So anyway, they're just talking about the same thing that people are talking about over here. The black folks are like, no, y'all ain't gonna call all of these black children criminals because all of them are not criminals. And if there's an issue, we need to, as a society, work to support the children to be the best people that they can be. We can't just be throwing them in jail now. Apple will open its own medical clinics for employees. So they figure they can bring that stuff in-house. And, America has the high. I would never go to Australia. Animals and insects are too poisonous and deadly. Wow, I would love to go to Australia. A friend of mine, when we were in college, they spent some time in Australia. I would love to see the original, like the culture of the people. I like to travel when it's hot. It seems like it's warm. I'm like, yes, Australia. I'm a little afraid of like, since I've stopped traveling, I've gotten more timid and more scary about like, oh my gosh, I'm afraid of racism, but I traveled all over the world. So I need to cut out all of that. It's just like I'm out of the habit. So Apple is like, we can insource that. the cost of medical care in the United States is the highest or among the highest in the world. So we could beat that at Apple. We just bring it indoors, in-house. We hire our own people. We have clinics. We have, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to do preventative health care, and, it's going to be cheaper for us to keep people healthy and pay for it here than to pay for insurance and all of that other mess. So that's what Apple is doing. Watch the trailer for Jay-Z's new documentary on Trayvon Martin series. So that trailer is out. I never saw the piece that he did on Khalif Browder. Now, I read some stuff about Khalif Browder, but I haven't seen any of his documentaries. But Trayvon that actually sounds like a good idea. The Apple thing, Diesel, I don't know. Yeah, I'm still processing it because I have some thoughts about it, but I'm over an hour. I got to shut up. Diesel ban approved for German cities to cut pollution. So if you have a diesel vehicle, it's banned in certain cities on certain days. They got to cut down on pollution. Manhunt underway for suspect who shot a North Carolina man while he was broadcasting on Facebook Live. And the only picture I saw was like an older black guy. I'm like, who, what? But I didn't really. Sagging pants could become illegal in South Carolina. And then I have another story about North Carolina. Exclusive Walter. Oh my gosh, I was cut off. I don't know. How long can I go? Okay. Walter Mosley talks about his new book, Writing for Television, and what freedom really means. I really like Walter Mosley from what I've seen and read. CDC doctor who claimed flu shot caused outbreak is still missing. Family offers reward. We've been hearing about this CDC doctor who disappeared. He called in sick, or actually he left sick. His parents are like, something was going on, but they're not really saying. They like the cops know. But this is the first time that I saw the CDC doctor who claimed the flu shot caused flu is missing. I didn't know that yeah. Okay. I don't have time to talk about it now. Siberian blast, European scenes of ice and snow. Sad story. I fear the worst. But I think, right. I did already. And I thought it was weird when his mother was like, I hope that if he can hear us. It was something she was saying. And I'm like, I don't know what they think is going on. But I hadn't heard this before. But I kind of feel like it was wasn't an assassination. Like, I don't know. It was a beautiful image of a bike, and it was just covered in ice. It was like the imagery was very stunning to me, coming off of BBC UK. Bill Cosby's daughter Ensa dies age 44. It's so unusual for someone to lose a child and for someone to lose two children. It just seems like, I don't know what the percentages are, but I just imagine that it's very unusual. Tiffany Haddish reacts to fan who thinks Monique is responsible for her Netflix deal. She said she was already working on the deal before Monique said anything about it, and that she she ain't getting legend money, but she getting enough money to do something for her family. But that's when somebody asked her. I don't know. And I saw Monique say something like, well, you haven't done anything wrong, sister. Congratulations. You paving the way for all of us. And then I heard somebody say in a video, like, you never hear Monique saying anything nice about anybody else. Now, I don't know if she heard that video and then she said something nice, or if maybe that wasn't true. I don't know. Will Supreme Court case lead to a post-union America? So there's some case at the Supreme Court trying to get rid of unions or not. Vietnam War child finds father in America 45 years on. Hurricane Harvey still homeless 6 months later. The tunnel that houses old Qurans. So I don't know what it is, like if they were hiding them from, people burning them or taking them away, or from knowing that they were Muslim. I don't know what the story was. Women in Saudi Arabia can now join the army, but still, we talked about this yesterday, but they still need permission from a male guardian. Women, not children, women. But I guess if you got a guardian, are you really a woman? Maybe you're a girl. I don't know. I mean, who gonna guardian me, boo? Who gonna check me, boo? Who can? I don't know what I do. I guess you just adjust if you're in certain places. Because I'm like, a guardian? Well, if I want to join, I don't know what I would do. Saudi king replaces military chiefs in shakeup. Student draws criticism over blackface post about Black Panther. Acting coach Leslie Kahn apologizes for telling student to pose as a Latina. You'll do better if you pretend to be black or just be colored. You'll have more opportunities. Thousands of Africans protest Israeli deportation plan. They on that clock, and it's something where they paying if you don't get out the country, and the people in the country, the white people find you, they get paid. They're like bounty hunters. They're empowering citizens to be bounty hunters of like black and brown people in Israel, the Jewish people. Okay, venomous snake turns up in Australian lunch bags. A woman is packing lunch for the child, and there's a snake in there, and it's a venomous snake. It could have killed her. North Korea is so short on money, it's selling its much-needed electricity to China. They say the more things change, the more they stay the same. I'm moving through the story so quick, I don't even know. I'm like, what you talking about, huh? Russian activists in jail for giant... Oh, we're back. Okay, so... North Korea don't even have, the people, they say, I don't know, but the word on the street is that they struggling. Y'all, they say that they don't hardly have any electricity at night already. We don't have any excess electricity to be selling to China. And then, so he getting the money, but is the money going to him or to his people? Like, what's going on? I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say not that I don't care, but it's just like, it's not looking good for them. I'm not smiling at that. I just feel like sometimes it's hard out here in this world for some people, and sometimes it's wonderful out here for some people. But that's what I got for today. And for us right here and right now, today is what we got. So it's the best day ever. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Be you, be fabulous. Be you, be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Thanks for joining. Peace.